NEXA Music, truly inspiring.
Hello and welcome to NEXA Music Season 2 podcast. My name is Nirmika Singh and today I'm in this amazing groove room with two inspiring musicians. I have with me Clinton Sereo and Bianca Gomes. Welcome.
Hey.
I'm welcoming you guys to your own studio. Isn't that amazing?
It's lovely to be here.
Lovely to be here and lovely to be here with you.
Oh, thank you.
You're part of the groove room today.
Absolutely. Well, NEXA Music Season 2 has been an amazing journey so far, and today we're going to be chronicling all the beautiful tales and what's in store for all of us. Clinton, as we all know, is one of India's most prodigious music composers and producers, and his unmatched array of work spans across film, advertising, and music albums. His sonic sensibilities are totally trailblazing and they carry influences from rock, pop, jazz, folk, and beyond. Clinton, thank you for being on this podcast.
Yes, so happy to be here.
Brilliant. And we also have amongst us Bianca Gomes, and Bianca is an amazing composer, vocalist, and performer with many critically acclaimed music projects that span films and music albums. Thank you, Bianca, for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you, Nirmika, for having us.
Brilliant. We're so excited because the two of you also form a dynamic pop duo, which is Shor Police. And your independent journeys have been so rewarding in so many different ways. And we saw that happen in the NEXA Music, season 1 as well. Tell me about the most memorable bits.
For us, actually, NEXA has been sort of blessing in disguise because of the fact that we've always had this desire to write material in English, but when NEXA presented that opportunity, it was at that time that we already started working on Shor Police, so it just seemed like the perfect marriage of intention, because otherwise for a long time we've only had so much support for film and for everything as long as it's in a language other than English, you know. And as AR said so rightfully on at the NEXA launch, he said that I think the film industry is doing a great job for supporting content that's in Hindi and that's in any regional language. We need more stuff out there that's in English, and it's something that resonates with us as a band, and resonates with us individually as artists as well, because that's how we think.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. And Bianca, your upbringing has had influences that really can't be separated from your English language inclinations, and that's so important in just building a robust artistry. Tell me about your biggest milestones in mentoring talent in the season 1.
I think it was like, as a singer myself, in this avatar of being a composer to these artists, I think it was really exciting and challenging to see the evolution of them, also how they grew from from hearing their first recordings that they had sent in to the studio, because this is where they all recorded. Just looking at how they were growing as an artist, and some of them had not even recorded in like professional studios before. So it was, first of all, exciting as a composer to write for another singer, and to understand what kind of artist they were and how they needed to be portrayed, because that was very important, rather than us just writing a cool track, but also keeping their identity was very important. So we needed to write melodies that would suit them stylistically, where they could just flourish and grow as singers behind the mic. So that, I think, that was the most important thing as a composer and writer for these kids.
And how heartwarming is that? I also feel that NEXA Music presents an opportunity which is very priceless. It's also rare and also sizable, because the impact and the amplification is just off the roof.
Yes.
What do you feel, Clinton? Like, we really needed this, right?
Absolutely. I think we needed this a long time ago, but as they say, better late than never. I think that we underestimate audiences in this country in every art form, whether it's the movies, whether it's music, or I think that audiences are ready for more and they're ready for better, but sometimes I think we let commerce and figures dictate a little too much, without sometimes having the foresight to see an industry through, and it's going to take time before you reap rewards. I mean, Indians are really good at investing in the share market. They don't mind waiting. They'll buy stocks and they'll wait for 10 years, but they won't do the same thing when it comes to investing in an artist or investing in a business.
Right. And, it's a very rare point that people make about investing into something that has potential, right? Because we want to see ready returns and people are always talking about ROIs. In this, the investment was not just in the platform that we created at NEXA Music, we also mentored them. Right. We also had opportunities that they would never have otherwise in their career, which is, coming into the studio, interacting with an established musician. Right. Bianca, I want to know from you, what were the things that you were looking for, in the ideal NEXA Music candidate last year?
I think the one thing that was on the top of the list was obviously individuality, because there's so much talent in our country, so much. But I think what really stands out is that you don't want to hear someone that you feel like you've heard before. Right. You don't want to hear a voice that sounds like someone else's. You want someone to just come out of the speakers at you, basically. Right. I'm like, wow. So for me, it's all about tone. Right. And that's something that an artist from the last season had, which was Nisa Shetty. She really brought it with, that was the first thing I think that got me when I heard her track. So I think that is number one, a tone that really stands out. Also creatively, as a writer, how evolved you are. I think that's also important. Right. Because yes, it is for everyone, but the songs that really got us was, I mean, it makes a big difference how you put things together, whether it's the production or your songwriting capabilities, and of course your singing talent. So it's a combination of different things. So again, the songwriting was lovely from the artists that we heard from the first season. Right. So that again is very important.
Right. And Clinton, what were the things that stood out for you for, artists that you were selecting?
For me, it was quite a pleasant surprise to see some songs that were so finished in their thought process. Oh, wow. Not necessarily finished in terms of the sonics and the technical aspects, but very finished in terms of the intention and the idea, which was really nice and refreshing, I think. And I used to call Bianca and say, I'm going to send you something, just check this out, and this is definitely a contender. And she'd be like, wow, I didn't even realize that people in India were writing this kind of stuff. Yeah. So that was really surprising and in a very good way. So
what must an artist do today, an English language original music artist, to be part of the NEXA journey?
Oh, I think first of all, they have to be ready to put it all out there in terms of what they want to say. That's really important. I think that most of the time they don't really have a point of view that's very solid and that's different from anybody else. That's what we should be looking for, and I think that is something that will come through to anybody, that will come through to the jury very in a very, very concrete way when artists have a point of view. I think all the winners,
someone that's not afraid to make a statement.
They had a very strong point of view. Wow. And I think that's the important thing.
That's so exciting. I mean, I think this, the essence of an artist is very palpable sometimes, and you saw it in the releases, throughout the journey in the lab contestants, and we saw it again among the super winners. Bianca, when we're looking at a well-rounded artist, what are the parameters that we're touching? Okay, well, you must, probably have this discipline down pat. You must have some upbringing, Is that something that you do want to tell, this new breed of artists who are applying this year, that these unglamorous bits, these bits that people don't often talk about, doing your time in the studio or having a riyaz schedule or vocal training is so important. Please do tell us an act length about what it takes to be a real artist today, whether you're a budding one or an established.
I think in terms of all these things, I think most artists know things like vocal warm-ups and taking care of your voice, hydrating, not eating. Again, all those things, it depends on each individual. But more than anything, it's just a persistence for your craft, and really going at it, even when we've been through years of times when you get behind the mic and somehow it just, some days are good and some days are bad. And it's about getting up the next day and still working out, still rehearsing, still going at it, still writing, even though you might not feel like it. Because music is such an emotional thing, right? So you feel like, oh, if I'm feeling a bit depressed today, it's an off day. But it's not. It's about just, even in whatever state you're in, just sort of going, in the depths of whatever your emotions are, and putting it on paper and bringing it out in your music.
Amazing.
Because that's what it is at the end of the day,
Aw.
expressing yourself.
That's lovely.
Thank you for saying that. And Clinton, I do want you to tell people who are applying this year, people who are participating, that this opportunity is really rare, and this is it. So this is your time.
No, absolutely. This is, I would say it's an appeal more than anything else, because of the fact that opportunities like these don't come around that often. So you need to, grab it with both hands, but make sure you're ready. I would say, maybe just wait it out till next year if you're not ready, because if you don't have a point of view and if you don't have something to say that's strong, then it may not work in your favor. But at the same time, if you feel you're ready, if you feel you have something to say, then now's the time to do it. And you definitely are going to find a platform and find a home at NEXA Music. So I think that's it's very rare when a brand like NEXA, that's literally in the hearts and minds of every single Indian, is willing to put their money where their mouth is, figuratively speaking, and really support something that's a very, very nascent, at a very, very nascent stage in our industry, in a sense, compared to what's happening in in Bollywood and in every other sphere. So I mean, the least that an artist can do, if you're an artist that for whom this is relevant, the least you can do is participate and see where it takes you, because you may surprise yourself.
So well put. I had goosebumps at one point, really, when you said that do participate, but also not if you think that you're not ready. So Bianca, did you also see applications, in season 1 where you felt that the artists really needed to have a better point of view, or they were not just ready yet? But this could be like a fine balance, because you also want to bring the readiness while you're mentoring them.
Yeah. I always feel that as an artist, you listen to your own voice, you listen to your own songs, and you always feel like you're not ready. You always feel like you can do better. And as artists, we're perfectionists. We always do that. We go back and forth and we think that we're not ready. But you know what? That's just part of the process. And I feel that as an artist, even if you feel like you need more time, just put yourself out there. I think that's important, because it leads to growth.
Right.
And when you do, it could work in your favor. You could actually get feedback that could be helpful to you.
Right.
Whether it's good or bad, whatever it is. But it's important to take that first step and put yourself out there.
Right. Did you see that commitment from artists, in season 1?
I did. I mean, I just to take off from what Bianca was saying, just in my own career and in my own life, I wanted to just relate an anecdote to you guys about how important it is being ready, but at the same time working towards that thing in a very concrete way. So I was already working with AR. This is back in 98, 99. I was working a lot with AR already, and I was doing a lot of work as a vocal arranger and as a music producer for a lot of people. But I wasn't in the advertising scene yet. I wasn't doing jingles. And there was one guy I always wanted to work with. The whole industry calls him Juku very lovingly. His real name is Rajat Dholakya, and outside the advertising industry, nobody really knows him. But he's a legend in the advertising circuit. Nobody's done more jingles than he has.
Wow.
And I really wanted to work with him, and as start programming for him, producing all his stuff. And I was I got an opportunity to work with him in like the year at the end of 99, and he called me for a bike ad, I remember, and I was working on it the whole day, and he was kind of fine tuning it with me and whatever. But I just didn't get the feeling at the end of that session that I had really brought it somehow, and he just never called me back after that. He just didn't call me back for a year. Okay, so in the meantime, I literally sat at home and I slogged every day. Like I would be at it for like 14 hours a day sometimes, till 4 in the morning. and for a whole year I didn't even call him back. And then I remember Kunal Ganjawala. Kunal and I were like buddies, and Kunal used to sing a lot of his jingles, so I kept asking Kunal, you got to get me another meeting with Rajat, you got to get me another meeting with Juku. And so he was like, finally he asked after a whole year.
Wow.
And he said, just give Clinton one more chance. He wasn't ready at that time, but he's ready now. So Juku called me for a commercial. I remember it was a Nivea commercial, and I think I just slammed it out of the park, because I was like I had all this pent up, you know, musicality that I was ready to bring to the table, and there was just no looking back after that. I think we did almost 500 ads in a span of 2 years together.
That is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
We did like 500 ads together, and it was just a crazy ride. That was like, so that's why I'm saying the importance of being ready is because you shouldn't underestimate this platform. This platform can be something that will really catapult you to something, you know, which will, you know, bring something very, very unique to your career, and, you know, bring some form of real recognition. So, you know, when you're ready to grab it with both hands, you should.
So well said, Clinton, and thank you for sharing that story. So inspiring. And what are the things about the industry, Clinton, that you know now that you wish you had known earlier, and knowledge that you want to pass on to this new contestants that you're working with?
I think it's the very, very, you know, the realization that it's the long game that counts. You know, there are several artists that we've seen come and go, but I've been in this industry 22 years. I'm still around. If you want to really make music, you know, your career, then I think the artists who had long careers in the end are, you know, much richer than the artists who've really had huge success, but then 5 years later nobody even remembers their names. You know, so don't go for that. Don't go for the immediate success. Go for the long game. I would say. I would try to, you know, would say that. See, music has so many branches, so many streams, you know, so many things in this industry that you can be good at and you can do. You got to figure out, what am I going to do that will make people really need me?
Right.
You know, and that's when you become indispensable to certain people. That's when you realize you have a career that will work, and that will be, you know, you'll be of value. You'll be able to bring something to anybody who comes to this studio. I know that they have to receive value, you know.
Think about it, like, what if you woke up one day and there was no Instagram?
Right.
How would you make it work as a struggling musician?
Very good. That's awesome.
And that's one thing I think the budding breed of musicians must also realize, that, you know, there is that, maybe that one USP, that one trait that sets them apart. How do you build, or how do you cultivate individuality and originality, Bianca?
I think for me it was trying to figure out how to, because when I was growing up, and, you know, obviously when you start singing, you naturally try to emulate the artist that you love. So I did start out that way. For me it was Mariah Carey. But somewhere down the line I started taking songs and trying to see, okay, now how can I make this my own? And that's when you start realizing that you have your own style and your own individuality, and sort of just honing into that. I think that's really, really important. Taking songs, if you are doing covers, how do you make them your own? Yeah, I think that's
brilliant. Yeah, and Clinton, I mean, I'm sure there are like times when there are creative blocks, if we can ever call them that, those moments of, you know, lull. How can young musicians deal with creative blocks? A lot of people declare that they have creative blocks, and, you know, there's another school of thought that says there is no such thing as a creative block. We're romanticizing this little lull, which is only natural and common for other, you know, artists also.
Right. See, I think that as a session artist, I was never afforded creative blocks beyond a point, because you have to, the deadline looms large, and you have to push through, and somehow, you know, if you're writing your own album, and like Seal, you know, took 5 years to write the White Album, and because he felt like he didn't want to fight creative blocks, he just wanted to let it go and let it, you know, but he had that luxury. If you're a session artist like I was, where you're doing a jingle one day and then next day somebody else has booked you for another job, then you may have a creative block one day, but it's like, you know, it's like your creativity is on tap, you know, so you have to be there at the studio at 11 in the morning.
Right.
And whether you're feeling like it or not, by 7 in the evening, you have to deliver a song or you have to deliver a jingle. So you have to push through, and it's all about, I think, somewhere finding that inner strength. Sometimes when we are empty, that's when, a force that's bigger can, move through you and you can be a channel. That's the power of music and the power of uh, musicianship, because I think that we fail to realize that sometimes when we don't have anything to say, then something can be said that's bigger than us, and that's music. Music has a power to be bigger than the artist as well.
Oh, beautifully put.
so true.
Absolutely. And I think that the power of also putting in the effort in solitude is not celebrated enough. I feel on social media there is this peer pressure to want to be always, in congregation or, among company. But I know that the hardest of work and the most sort of excellent work is done in pure sort of bubble of your own music and your own artistry. Do you want to talk about this bit too? Because I think a lot is not spoken about, just this pure dedication and commitment to your art.
I mean, I think for us, it's the other way around. We have to try and muster up dedication towards posting on social media. Our natural tendency is, because we meet like literally maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and we are literally just buried in the computer. She's sitting right next to me, and we are coming up with ideas. We are thrashing out stuff, and weeks can go by, and we won't miss posting anything on social media.
Right.
We have to tell ourselves that we have to post something, so at least people who are following us can see what we are
Please
up to.
do post a
We
lot
are
on
up to
social
so
media.
much more than.
Because they are making such amazing music and
So we
there's
have
so
the reverse
much
problem.
But also it's a good thing being a duo, because you don't
Right.
go through the creative blocks. Because if one of us is completely blocked, then the other person has an idea, and then you automatically feed off that.
Yes.
Correct.
that's
So
true.
I think that's great. So maybe writing together might help with that whole collaborating with people when you do feel a block.
Oh, yes.
Or just sort of reminding yourself of your roots and how did this start? Why do I want to do this? Do I enjoy this? Where did
Start with why.
Yeah.
So important, really. Simon Sinek, start with why. Why
And
did we
also-
want to become musicians? Yeah.
And also decluttering. I
Right.
think that also helps. I think for a lot of people, they like to just be by themselves, and there's just too many distractions. So that also helps, I guess, when you're just completely blank.
So cool. I'm really excited, Clinton and Bianca, to know about the song that you're working on for us this year, and what's brewing, like in terms of
We're-
collaboration and ideas.
We are equally excited because we have no idea what we're doing so far.
We're letting the music take us organically wherever it wants to.
Wow. Is it going to be like a very distinct shift from what we saw last year? Do you think that you want to consciously explore like a different, aesthetic this year?
Actually, we don't want to. We did talk about it the other day, but we didn't really want to zone in on a particular genre, because again we do a mixed bag of things. I mean,
Right.
we like stuff that has old retro sounds, we like that stuff, we like the new pop, electro pop, so it could be whatever we're feeling like on that day.
Right.
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And see how it takes us. Sometimes we take a song so far before we realize that it's not working, and we
Oh my
spend
God.
like 3-4 days on it, and then we just feel like it's not working. Sometimes we pull a song out after months, and B will just say it just feels like someone else wrote it. It just didn't feel like us. It's not how we're feeling at this point. It's not where we are right now. And I think that's the best part about doing your own music after so many years, is that we have the experience where we can look back at our own work and we can judge it critically, and we can say we are not so attached to the process to want the world to hear every idea that we have.
All right.
Yeah, for every idea that we want the world to hear, there may be 5 ideas that we don't necessarily want them to hear, and that's also part of the process. That's also part of the songwriting and the production process, because all that takes you somewhere, teaches you something, and becomes part of your arsenal.
Absolutely, like self-editing, you're also sort of
Yeah.
filtering the material that you're generating. Beautiful. On that note, I really want the both of you to tell our budding musicians from around the country, once again, Bianca, I'll start with you, the 3 reasons why they must participate in NEXA Music Season 2.
This is a golden opportunity. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and you can only grow from this.
Beautiful. Clinton.
Wow, I'm not going to be so lucid as that. But I would say one thing, it's important for the industry, you know, and you are a part of that industry. So you will have yourself to thank. Secondly, I don't think that there's ever been a platform that's supported by a major brand, that's a national brand. So you guys, you know, should jump on this as fast as possible and as soon as possible. Secondly, the man at the helm, Mr. A.R. Rahman, is definitely, I think, besides being, you know, a national treasure, is someone who's had his finger on the pulse of every young musician for generations for generations, and will always be that way. I mean, NISA is a case in point. You know, NISA, he heard NISA because of NEXA, and today NISA is singing on his shows.
Right.
So
And
I mean,
sung a Bollywood
yes, yeah.
song
So
for
that should tell you something, that you know, if Mr. Rahman is at the helm, and if he gets a chance to even hear you, and you know, has you have the good fortune of him blessing you for some reason or the other because he likes your work, then you couldn't have asked for anything more in this country, I think, as a musician.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And aren't we all blessed to have like A.R. Sir's love, blessings,
Yes.
and his support and encouragement at all times.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Clinton. Thank you, Bianca, for this beautiful conversation. And we're in the Groove Room. My name is Nirmika Singh. This was the NEXA Music Season 2 podcast. Stay tuned for NEXA Music Season 2. There's lots coming.